Well, hello. And it's broken already.
Oil all over the exhaust.
And that's not what you want to see. Hey folks, welcome back to Project 40. Behind me is my new Lexus RC F. And it's broken already.
Yay!
I've only owned it for 2 weeks and it's had a couple of issues, but one occurred yesterday that I think might be terminal. So one of the issues is here, the radar cruise. As soon as I collected the vehicle, it didn't work at all. It's a minor issue, but again, it's annoying because you expect everything to work on a Lexus. But the bigger issue is down on the floor. Well, hello. Now, I was driving the car yesterday and it started smoking really badly. The performance is unaffected and there was no sort of weird noises coming from the engine bay, and the engine oil looked fine. I couldn't really find an explanation for it. I looked all around the engine bay at night, but I didn't have a torch with me, so there was only so much I could see with my phone. But I looked this morning and I think I found the cause.
So what I think's happened is, after looking at it, there is oil all over the exhaust. Now, it's not black, which is good. What I think it is transmission fluid, because if I get to it here, that's red. Red is transmission fluid or power steering fluid, because it's all ATF, and that's sort of coated all the way here.
And that's not what you want to see from your 2015 approved used Lexus. I buy Lexus to avoid these sorts of problems. So is it sort of just a gasket that's gone? Is it a hose that's perished? Is it something from perhaps the transmission cooler at the front? Because I believe this is where the transmission cooler is. So it has a line broken here and caused it to leak oil. I don't know. I'm not seeing anything, if you come a little bit closer, I'm not seeing anything here. Actually, what I'll do is I'll just go grab my torch. So looking at the sort of the transmission cooler radiator, I'm not seeing any obvious leaks there, no sort of fluid. So it's somewhere at the back. Looking under the engine bay,
I can't see any sort of obvious leaks.
I do have this lovely blue intake manifold. And this is an amazing engine. It's the same engine that was used in the LC500 that I had before, so it is glorious. But I can't see any obvious signs of fluid leaking. So it's either the gasket from the transmission or it's a line. Because I'm trying to think where the power steering, because this will probably have electronic power steering, so there's no fluid to top up that I know of. One other issue, it seems to be burning coolant a little bit more than I expect. Now, I know that the engine in the ISF had a valley gasket issue that caused it to basically leak coolant and burn through coolant. That's not supposed to be a problem on the RCFs, even though it's pretty much the same engine. So that's another thing I need to get checked. And the other issue is the brakes are really, really squeaky. Now, this is a known issue, but again, these are all things that I think kind of shouldn't happen, because I was expecting the car to just work. Now, I've owned the car for 2 weeks and I'm really disappointed that I'm having to do one of these videos as essentially the first video on the car. I wanted to do a, isn't Lexus amazing and isn't this V8 brilliant? Unfortunately, I'm having to do one that my Lexus is leaking oil everywhere and is smoking like a good one yesterday. It's really disappointing and not why I buy a Lexus product. Up until this point, apart from the dodgy brake, like the squeaky brakes and the radar cruise not working, this car has been amazing and I've been really, really happy with it. And I'm looking forward to doing a proper video once these issues are resolved to really show why this is an amazing car, and honestly why I think it's better than an LC500 for my particular use case. But yeah, going to speak with the dealership. Going to have to get this car transported all the way to where I collected, because it was a sort of a 3-hour drive to the dealership. So clearly don't want to do that with a transmission leak and potential fire risk. And then we'll see where we are, which is, not quite the sort of experience I wanted, because you buy an approved used car to have a great experience. And I can have cars breaking down and being unreliable and not have to spend that much money. I spent quite a bit of money on this car, so I want this to be perfectly reliable for at least, a heady month or two. Call me crazy. Yeah, so that's about it really. We'll kind of check in with an update, hopefully later this week, And ideally, this is just a hose that's come off, or a line that's busted, and that's really easy to replace. And I'm not going to be without this car for a long time. But it's good that I do have others. So to people who only have one car, this is why you have a spare.
I love you.
Fortunately, when I spoke to the dealer, they agreed that they needed to get the car back to take a look at it, and they sent over a covered transporter. So now it's just a case of waiting and seeing to see what the dealer finds out. I do really like this car, and I hope I see it again. But if it's permanently broken, then I'm just going to have to find something else. Fingers crossed we don't get there. But let's see what they find out.
3 weeks later.
Clearly not in the Lexus. It's clearly not back with me. So let me fill you in on what's been going on. So where I left you was the dealer had been kind enough to get a covered transporter that just about fit the car to get it back to the dealer, which was very, very kind. It's really nice that they sent a covered one because it just saves the car from extra damage. Awesome. Love it. That was sort of the first weekish of October, and we're now the end of the first week of November, so it's been quite some time. Now, for a recap, if you've forgotten, there are 4 issues. Squeaky brakes, radar cruise not working, gearbox has leaked fluid all over the exhaust, and coolant is being consumed somewhere. First 2 issues, they're minor, I'm not too worried about them, they'll get repaired. The gearbox seal, after they've investigated, is... or the gearbox oil leak is down to a seal on the transmission pan that has leaked, and that's fine. So a new seal, some gearbox oil, sorted, no problem at all. The big problem is the coolant. Now they've pressure tested, they've looked everywhere, they can't find any obvious source of the leak, which means it's happening most likely internally. And so what they think is the head gasket has gone. And so when the head gasket starts to go, coolant gets kind of pulled into the combustion chamber and starts to burn, generally quite bad. The problem is there isn't a clear sign of this. And so we're kind of in this weird situation where we're going to change the head gasket and hope that fixes the problem, because there isn't any other smoking gun. And it probably is the head gasket, but that's incredibly rare on the V8 in the RCF. In fact, I can't find any other example on the internet. It may happen and someone's just not documented on the internet, but I can't find it. So somehow I've been the only person in the UK to find an unreliable Lexus, which is a bit weird and not quite what I was expecting, because up to the point where I stopped driving it, I owned the car for 12 days. And that means that I've not really had much time to drive it, I'm going to be honest. And, realistically, if they're going to be changing the head gasket, that's going to take them a long time to get all the parts and do the work. So I'm not expecting to get the car back until the end of November. Now, it'd be great if it was before the end, but that's my expectation. I don't want them to rush the job. It's a big old engine. It's a complex job. There's lots that can go wrong. So I want to give them all the time in the world, and I'm not chasing them because that's not going to help get the problem fixed any quicker. The question then becomes, what do I do once the car is done? Because the car is it's hurt me a little bit, if I'm honest. And it's kind of dinged my confidence in a little bit, because I bought a Lexus product because I wanted it to be reliable, because the last N of my cars have not been reliable. So I don't know what the right call is here. Do I just get the car repaired and enjoy it and just hope for the best? Do I try and get a refund because it broke down within the first 30 days? I don't know if I'm now out of scope for this sort of 30-day refund. The dealer seems to think there's lots of conversations that have gone on, and I kind of left the dealer for a bit. I do need to get back to them because I'm not entirely sure what I want to do, because I do really like the car. I like the white, I like the red interior, and I think that's really, really cool. But is it going to be a reliable car for me when it's already had all of these issues? Or are all these issues, I've got it sort of front loaded and the car is going to be reliable since then? I don't know. Or do I try and swap for another car at the dealership? That's a possibility, but it has to be the same price or higher. And frustratingly, my RCF has to be roadworthy. It has to be fixed. So it's not like a faster solution. I can't just say hey, let's go get a new car. I have to wait till that car is fixed until when that car is fixed, then I can potentially swap for another car. But the problem there is that RCFs are quite rare. So trying to find a equivalent one, I think, is going to be at least $5,000 or $7,000 more than I've paid for my existing car, which is no small amount of money. And I don't really want to do that. I've already committed quite a lot of money to this. So it kind of gives me a bit of a quandary, if I'm honest, about what's the right step. Fundamentally, I do like the RCF. I do want to drive it more than I have, and I do miss my car. So probably it's just wait for the car to be fixed and get it back to me and see how I feel. But maybe I should do something else. What do you think I should do? Should I just keep the car? Should I exchange it for another car and figure out a deal on the price? Or should I try and push for a refund? I don't know. Let's have a think about it. But if you watched this far, thank you so much for watching. I will let you know in the future about what's happening with the Lexus. Consider subscribing if you want to keep up with the story. And hopefully I'll have it back in my hands and we can actually do some driving. And with that, I'll catch you down the road.